Hello everyone, welcome to my TV program 215, and in this program we are going to talk about certain physiotherapy standards in international level. And as you might know, in individual country there are certain organizations such as Charter Society which are dealing with raising the standard of physiotherapy in their country. But when you look at international level, there is another organization which called World Confederation of Physical Therapy, or WCPT, raising the standard and arranging so many different other activities such as congresses, and to make sure that the physiotherapy will be delivered in highest standard all over the world. So to get the best information and receive the latest news about this organization, I have invited Dr. Stokes, which is the president of WCPT. So without any hesitation, I invite Dr. Stokes, and Emma, very welcome to our program. If you introduce yourself, then we take it from there.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Naveed, for the invitation and the opportunity to speak with you. And hello, everyone. I'm delighted to be saying hello.
Emma, if I want to explain about your career and your background, it's going to be too long. So if you briefly tell about your past few years, what you're doing, and especially with regard to WCPT. And then later on, if you go ahead, you give brief information about the role of WCPT and its vision for future, and what exactly does WCPT?
Yeah, great. Thanks, Naveed. So my name is Emma, and I'm a physiotherapist. I qualified in 1990 in Ireland, and I have had the privilege of serving since 2015 as the president of WCPT. I'm an academic. I work in a university. That's my day job. And I'm at the moment speaking to you from Doha in Qatar, where I am the head of a very new program at Qatar University. It's the first program educating physiotherapists in the state of Qatar. So I've been here this is my second year here, so it's very exciting. And yeah, so that's me.
Very well.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, very well. Emma, thank you very much. I know you're very busy, and I really appreciate that you make time to come to this program, and I hope that all physiotherapists around the world will benefit from this program. Now, as Emma mentioned, she's the president of WCPT, and WCPT was founded in 1951 with about 11 members, if I am right, yes, and then later on has developed to a massive organization. And Emma, when you go to WCPT website, you come across so many resources, especially policies and guidelines and many other useful resources, which I advise all other colleagues to use that as well. But one of the aim of WCPT is making sure that the current standard will be implemented, and also developing new guidelines and standards.
Yeah. So look, our website is full of great and fascinating information and resources. I think what's really interesting is that in early 2020 we'll be launching a new website, which I think people will find very exciting, and quite a different interface to the one we have at the moment. So all of the wonderful content will be there, but I think it'll probably be a little bit easier to find. So that's really exciting. But in the meantime, I would really encourage people to go to our website and register so that you can get our updates and all of our news, so you know when our new website has gone live. We've got a very exciting rebranding project. So the first quarter And early part of the second quarter of next year are going to be very exciting times for WCPT and for our global community. So in terms of what we do as a global organization, well, our strategic plan is on the website, and we have a number of strategic imperatives. The one that is very important is that we strive to be a global community of physiotherapists where every physiotherapist feels connected and engaged. Now, WCPT is a very diverse community. As you said, we began in 1951 with 11 member organizations, and we now have 120, which is fantastic. And, you know, we're growing from strength to strength, but we're also a very diverse community. So some of our member organizations are very large and very mature, and the profession is very advanced and very formed. Other member organizations are very new. The profession is very new. It's not a mature organization. It's a small organization. And so we try and provide resources in terms of policy and guidelines on our website for all of our community. I think we also are very, we're very committed to having the hard conversations about the profession. We're also very committed to thought leadership. So where does education for physiotherapists need to go? What are we talking about when we're thinking about advanced practice within the profession? What about diversity and inclusion? What does that look like and feel like, and how do we enact that within our profession, from the point of view of how we recruit our students, right through to how does our board look, how do our committees look, what is our conference programming about? We also, as you know, have an accreditation service that we run, which is an accreditation service primarily designed for countries where that service or that facility might not exist already, which enables universities to seek accreditation from WCPT. A separate part of what we do is often helping grow capacity within the professional community, whether it's a newly formed professional organization or education programs that are only just developing or trying to develop further and maybe transition from diploma to bachelor's degree. So we do a lot of work in that space. And that's been fantastic because we do it in collaboration with wonderful partners like Humanity and Inclusion. And, you know, we've been really privileged to have some funding from USAID. We work with our partners in WHO and in ICRC. So we do a lot of work in that space, and it's an area, big area of growth for us in how we have been able to get funding for that work. The other area that I think is obviously really important is creating connection. So we have 25 subgroups and networks. We try and connect people when they need to be connected. We have the Doves, which is our database of volunteers and experts. So we're really about creating connections so that the profession can grow and develop and be the best version of itself. And then we also work directly with our member organizations when we're invited to on advocacy and lobbying in their countries, whether it's with ministries of health or education or other organizations. So we create connections and we advocate for the profession. We are in official relations with WHO, and we have consultative status with the United Nations. So we're really trying to influence at every level within the profession and the global community. And then, of course, we have Congress. And I'm very happy to see our beautiful logo for Congress 2021 behind you, Naveed. That beautiful imagery of Dubai. So thank you for highlighting that.
Well, that's the main reason we are having this interview, which I'm about to get to that point, Emma. Yeah. As the main reason of this physiotherapy program initially was to inform our patients and what physiotherapy exactly can and will do for patients' recovery. But in addition, I have a different program. This is one of those programs which also increase patients' awareness about the point that physiotherapy is not just something which is come from nowhere. My main point is that physiotherapy has a very, very effective and efficient organization which are working nationally and internationally to make sure that the policy and guidelines will be set up and will implement it accordingly. So therefore, WCPT has a huge role, and one of these role of WCPT is that every 2 years has a big, major conference in different regions of the world, and the upcoming conference will be held in Dubai in 2021 in April 10 and 11, so which is close to our country as well. I'm sure many Iranian colleagues will benefit from that also. Now, before we go ahead, I would like we see a very brief clip, and then I get back to you. Now, as you could see in this brief clip which has been published in WCPT website, the main point which has been addressed in this video, one is the global health issue, and the next one is changing perception and innovation, and finally go to professional thinking. If we look at those few points that you're addressing in this clip, can you please go through this? The first one, which is addressing global health issue, how in a Congress you can manage to address this global health issue in a way that people can benefit from this subject?
Yeah, so look, great question, Naveed. And of course, those are suggested areas that we're particularly interested in for focus symposia, but they're not. If someone has another great idea for a focus symposium, then we're absolutely happy to receive that. We're very careful with our focus symposia in terms of our requirements for them. So we want the focus symposia team to be very diverse. We don't want and we don't allow our focus symposia submissions, say, to be for physiotherapists who come from Dublin. And there's nothing wrong with physiotherapists in Dublin, but I'm just using Dublin as an example, right? Yes. So we're very, very clear about the fact that we want a perspective perhaps from Iran, and we would like to have a perspective from perhaps Kenya, and perhaps a perspective from Chile, and maybe a perspective from, say, I'm just thinking of Taiwan, for instance. Yes. So what we like to do is we're very clear that we like the presenters to come from a number of different regions of WCPT. We obviously want there to be a really nice cultural mix, but also a mix in terms of gender and practice areas sometimes as well. So you'll see when you go to our website, the focus symposia from the last two congresses, are all there. So you'll see the range of topics, the range of fantastic speakers, and it's really wonderful to see the different perspectives. So, global health is a fabulous one, right? Because global health can mean all sorts of things to everyone. But, we're particularly interested in perhaps, for instance, let's just say with global health, you might take a particular client group or patient group and say, okay, let's talk about the cultural differences or the ways in which the management and the role of a physiotherapist might differ across cultures or across countries. What are the things that we all do that are common? What are the things that we can learn from one another that might be slightly different? So that's one particular aspect. The other might be around the role of physiotherapists, say, in the period of time after a humanitarian crisis or a natural disaster. And so that would obviously have potentially a global impact, but also, you might have physiotherapists coming from different parts of the world and working in multidisciplinary rehabilitation teams. How does that work? What do we need to learn from that? I guess some of the other really interesting topics that we've dealt with are things like, what are the particular skills that physiotherapists might need when working with, say, populations of people who are refugees or displaced persons? What can we learn from the different parts of the physiotherapy global community about that? So that's another key area. How do we bring things like, culture into perhaps education? How do we create new graduates that are culturally safe and culturally competent? So those are the type of big areas that we might be looking at in terms of, and there's probably loads of other ones those reflect my biases, right? Yes. So there might be all sorts of other things out there, that I haven't even mentioned in the much more clinically focused area. So anyone interested, I think, should have a look at the construction of the Focus Symposia from just last year earlier this year in Geneva, and just see, I can see how that was put together. And of course, if they have any queries, they're more than welcome to contact the Secretariat, and we'll be able to give people some advice.
Well, that's going to be certainly achieved, I'm sure, especially with having someone like Dr. Shane Patman as a chairman of the committee.
Absolutely.
He's amazing, and I'm sure this Congress will be even better than the previous one. Personally, pretty pleased to be participating in 2 WCPT conference, and I can say clearly that the amount of stuff that you learn, and especially the take-home messages that you take from these congresses, is unbelievable at high standard. And the way that those top speakers present their articles or their research is completely different when you look at the national level, to be honest. And I'm sure the next WCPT Congress will be amazing as well. So Emma, is there any other issues in relation to Dubai conference that you need to address at this point?
Listen, we are super excited to be coming to Dubai. It's the first time that we've had a conference in the region. I think, let's face it, congresses can be, there's lots of reasons why there's challenges for people to attend congresses. One can be the cost of travel, the length of time that people might have to be away from their workplace. And so the Congress in Dubai is, it's key for us because we want to bring people from the region who might not have attended a Congress before, who might have had the opportunity to attend, to come to Congress in Dubai. We're, working with the Emirates Physiotherapy Society, a group of fantastically dedicated physiotherapists. As you say, we have an amazing Congress planning committee, really, really diverse from all over the world, which is fantastic. And, Dubai is a great hub for people to travel to. And of course, there's no guarantee that people will ever get visas, but it is one of the parts of the world where, a lot of people have visa-free access. So, those are all of the issues that we have to think about. The model that we have committed to in terms of Congress is that for people coming from low and low middle income countries, we have a lower registration fee for them versus people who come from high income countries. Obviously, if you're a member of the Iranian Physiotherapy Society or you're a member of the WCPT member organization in your country, then you get to benefit from a slightly lower fee than if you're not a member of our member organization. And the call for abstracts will be going out next year. It'll be going out in April. So, if the Focus Symposia are not something that you're, ready to be participating in, don't panic, because we've got the opportunity for people to submit abstracts, and that will be going out next in the spring of next year. So very exciting.
I'm looking forward as well. As for people that don't know the region, I have to mention, as my background is from Iran, we are a neighbor with Dubai. It's a lovely place, is amazing, and in the last decade, as everyone knows, it has improved hugely. So the conference place and also the accommodation, everything will be perfect. How a patient can benefit from this kind of program? First of all, you hear the best information from someone like president of WCPT, and secondly, it shows that managing such big conferences increase the physiotherapist's ability to pick up the new points and new research data and outcome, and when they go back to their country, certainly they will apply this in their practice. So therefore, the physiotherapists who are attending this kind of conferences go with hands full, and they can manage their day-to-day practice. Either they are in educational department or they are in hospital or wherever they are working. By updating themselves, by attending these conferences, they can bring huge amount of differences to their patients' outcome. Now, Emma, we are reaching almost the end of the program. As you've been yourself a physiotherapist, you've been doing so many different things, and you've been traveling all over the world. I would appreciate if you just give the last few minutes to your own experience from physiotherapy, especially what you have seen in different regions and in different countries in relation to physiotherapy practical approach.
Sure. I guess, look, I've had such a privileged life as a physiotherapist. I've managed to travel all over the world, both to teach and to participate in the professional community. And I think what I'm always heartened by is the thirst for knowledge that physiotherapists have. They're always trying to improve their practice. They're always trying to learn, take the new knowledge and apply it to their practice. You know, I come from Ireland. I live in Qatar. I've had a very privileged life. I'm always humbled by the physiotherapists who have had to work in much harder circumstances than mine. I never, you know, I really appreciate the privileges that I've had. I'm always just incredibly impressed by the commitment of so many of the physiotherapy leaders for instance, in the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy in the UK, in my own professional organisation in Ireland, in Iran, in the Iranian Physiotherapy Society, and you know, just the commitment that physiotherapists have to raising the standards of education, raising the standards of practice, ensuring that people who need physiotherapy get the opportunity to have physiotherapy. And people are tireless in advocating for the profession, not just because they're advocating for the profession, but they're advocating for the profession so that the people who need physiotherapy, the small children and the athletes and the people with pain and the older people, the people with, you know, chronic diseases, the people who've had bad accidents, that those people who deserve to and who will benefit from physiotherapy have access to it. And I find myself increasingly just so impressed with the energy and the commitment that so many of our professional community have in their dedication to ensuring that people who need physiotherapy get access to the services that we provide.
Well, that's exactly what every physiotherapist probably will experience in their day-to-day practice. Especially physiotherapy is somehow different with all other professions, and due to dealing with different people with different background, with different injuries, they will like to learn more and more day by day, and you never see a physiotherapist stop learning. I mean, one of the reasons of having such conferences, or even one of the reasons of this TV program, and also the reason that you're attending or other guests attending this TV, is also about that advocacy and sending the message that physiotherapy is much more, and therefore we all together have to cooperate to have a proper global voice for physiotherapy all over the world. If there is anything at the end, I will appreciate if you say it. Otherwise, just we say goodbye to our viewers all over the world.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you and to share my thoughts about global physiotherapy. I'm very grateful. And thanks for all the great work that you do, Naveed. We're all very grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are reaching the end of the program. I once again thanks Dr. Stokes for her participation in this program, and we look forward to World Confederation of Physical Therapy Congress in Dubai 2021. Until that time and next program, I wish you the best. Have a good day.